You're listening to this week's episode of the Vacation Rental Business in Today's World podcast. You're about to start transforming your business and life with the information found here. We interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in the vacation short-term rental industry and supporting businesses. The information found here is a combination of brain science, transformational thinking, safety and loss prevention, and vacation short-term rental knowledge and experiences, all rolled into one to help you and your business to achieve levels you never thought possible. I am glad you are here, and now please welcome your host, Eric Thibodeau.
Hello, everyone. We're back, and today we have Nancy McAleer here. And good morning, Nancy.
Good morning, Eric.
How are you doing today?
Great, thanks. Yeah, just sitting tight, staying warm in snowy Montreal today.
Snowy Montreal, great. Yeah, I'm in Houston, Texas, or Friendswood, a little town near here. So that's where I'm at. We were in Gulf Shores last week, opening up one of our new properties down there. So yeah, that's great, and it's
Sweet.
a lot.
Rub it in.
Yeah. Well, it was 30. It was 36, and it got to 30 Fahrenheit. So
yeah,
it was definitely cool temps for us.
Still better than Canada. It's all
Still
good.
better than Canada. I won't argue there. So welcome, and thanks so much for joining us today, and hopefully we'll add some value for our audience here. And let's talk a little bit about your background and your experiences in vacation rental.
Yeah, so we started renting back in 2011. It was kind of like an accidental situation where I lost my job as a director in a retail company when the recession hit. And they kind of gave me a golden parachute to leave the company. And when I went home and I said to my husband, geez, now might be a great time to invest in property in Florida because the dollar was strong, Canadian versus US. And we talked about it with our friends, and they had also mentioned their desire to invest in Florida as well. So that's kind of how we started. We started with a property manager in the beginning, and then we just found, I have a passion for it. I really love hosting. You wear a lot of different hats, which I enjoy. Which gives me a little bit of my experience into managing the properties ourselves, like the marketing, design, financials, all that kind of stuff. So we were doing better booking the properties than our property manager was. So we took over and started self-managing remotely. And then we just added on just a scenario where the next door neighbor was selling. She asked if we wanted to buy. We jumped on it. And then we bought another property after that. So now we're at a small portfolio, but there are 4 and 5 bedroom homes on an island in Florida and doing really well. Yeah, super. So that's how we kind of fell into the whole vacation rental industry.
Yeah, so I've been interviewing, like I said earlier, about 20-something people now, and we're 100% for no one just said, hey, I'm going to grow up and be a vacation rental owner and manager. It's kind of just happened, and I think that's great. Just showing. So we'll see how long we keep the streak going.
Happenstance. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you still own your property there in Florida?
Yeah. So we still own all 3 properties. Actually, we just finished up a huge renovation on one of them. That was tough to do because I'm still landlocked up here in Canada with the whole pandemic going on. So that was quite interesting to try and get done. It's still actually finishing up. But yeah, so we're still renting them out, and we're really fortunate in terms of the fact that Florida was opened up to vacation rentals back in May and steadily going. We're really fortunate in the fact that, we're in a coastal region, which is more self-isolating. It's a very small village. So people are really seeking that, like that coastal isolation. So we're really lucky that the demand is there. We're in a state that is open for business, and feeling very, very fortunate at this point in time.
Great. Yeah, and glad your properties are doing well, and hopefully for good 2021 for them.
Yeah, for sure.
So today we're going to talk about direct booking, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about what is direct booking. We hear it a lot. And then why is it so important for vacational rental managers and owners in today's world?
Yeah, so direct booking is really important to diversify your marketing portfolio, because one of the facts is that, when you're on an OTA or one or two of the large ones like Airbnb or VRBO, I mean, you are beholden to their rules, first of all. And if you violate any of their terms and conditions, they can easily throw you off. So there is a shaky ground that you are on. And I know um, owners who have been thrown off and they don't know why, and property managers too. So imagine finding yourself in a situation one day where you have no access to your bookings that you've made reservations on, and you're in a situation where you don't have any control over that. That's quite frightening, and it could be quite devastating in terms of not being able to pay your operations and your mortgage expenses. So, I mean, that's the huge factor for us as property managers and owners, that we really felt like it was time to diversify and make sure that as the OTAs change, I mean, they are beholden to their stockholders. They're not going to slow down in trying to make more money. And most oftentimes that will come at the cost of the owner or the traveler. And in cases of the traveler fees that are just becoming so crazy in some OTAs, the travelers are now starting to exodus out of that platform and trying to find alternatives to book direct. So booking direct to me is where you have a situation where you are communicating with the traveler directly and the guest directly. It can come through a book direct platform itself, like Florida Rental by Owners. It's a regional listing site, so you can get all the contact details right away from the inquiry stage. So it doesn't necessarily have to be only your own personal website. It can be a multitude of ways. It could be through social media, Facebook. So for me, direct booking is where you're controlling the whole, right from the inquiry, the contact, the marketing to that traveler, right through the payment and this guest stay and the departure, so that you still have all the contact details so you can market to it, get it again and again. So you are in full control of the whole booking cycle.
Great. And so how is, I think you may have described it, but is this direct booking, how is this different than booking through an OTA such as, maybe Airbnb or Verbo or booking.com?
Yeah. So what's so great about Book Direct is that, when you do have full control, you can lower your costs in a lot of respects. So if you wanted to, let's say, add a processing fee for somebody who's using a credit card to cover that processing fee expense, it's 2.5%. Like that's a lot of money when you're talking about having 100 rentals as a property manager, with an average rental of $2,000 a week. Like that's a huge savings. So in that respect, it's great. And also, if you have your own booking software too, you can offer travel insurance to this traveler, which can increase your dollars per transaction. You know who has insurance, who doesn't have insurance when you're dealing with a situation where people are asking for cancellations or not. So it's a lot easier to manage those people where you want to make sure that they're not double dipping and telling you a different story, and they're trying to get a refund and their travel insurance policy benefits as well. So there's a lot of benefits to having that full control of the book direct process. Monetary, increasing your dollars per transaction as well. So for me, that's a huge difference because you're allowed to communicate right directly with that traveler and guest all the way through the process. You're not only required to communicate with them through a platform where you can say certain things, but you can't say other things, right?
Right.
There's no words that you can use or that you can't use. So for me, there's a freedom to that, and then there's it's definitely a financial benefit as well.
Yeah, this just to zone in on one piece there, just like rental insurance. I mean, we saw a huge uptick in rental insurance. And
Yeah.
what we did in our CRM is we just, after they book for a couple of days, we would send them auto generated email and said, "Hey, have you looked at these, travel insurance to protect your stay?" And it was 1% of our our revenue last year, and when it was pretty minuscule in the past.
Yeah.
And,
So, and I found that a lot of this year specifically, we had to really educate a lot of our guests about what is travel insurance. Um, and I mean, it's kind of surprising because it's thousands of dollars in some cases that you're renting a home for, for a week stay. And when people don't think about protecting themselves in that respect, you really we had to educate them about what is included in a certain type of travel insurance policy and what is not, like for the pandemic, let's say, you want to master cancel or cancel for any reason. So our role really changed. Didn't you find this
yeah,
year? Yeah.
absolutely. It changed quite a bit, and we had to definitely relax our policies. And then we also had to have those discussions where people said, "Hey, I want to." They may have came in through Airbnb or Verbo and said, "We'd like to get travel insurance." And we said, "Well, we can't offer you travel insurance because you booked through the OTA, so you have to go back and see them." And they said, "Well, we don't want to do that." And I said, "Well, that's the only option. Book with us next year or next time or something." But yeah, so those are all good things that we can and provide to the guest when they're
Yeah.
coming, when we have the direct booking communication with us.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could explain the process for direct booking, how would someone start if they're just starting out and they want to get going with direct booking? What activities would they need to do? How can they get started and build momentum?
So it's funny you said that. I just had somebody I messaged me through Facebook asking me that same question. She's brand new to it, and she's like, "How do I even? It's so overwhelming. Where do I even start?" So for me personally, I would say find a good property management software solution for yourself. For me, that's easiest to manage. And then with that, you would find your payment processor that you can utilize with it. So Stripe is a great option. There's other ones for vacation rentals like Lindbrook Group. So I would definitely start there. And then once you've got your base of, managing your financials and your accounting and your processing, and then you can manage all the reservations, on a touch point every day. Then I would say, okay, you have to start building a presence online because you have to be able to build trust with your guests and travelers. Many people are scammed and they hear about that in the media. So you really have to make sure, I would recommend highly building a personal vacation rental website for yourself. Doesn't have to be super elaborate, but like even a one pager scroll down is great with your affiliations. I think affiliations are really important this year going forward. Whether you're part of a vacation rental manager association, we have a strong one in the United States. We have a great one in Florida as well. And then getting some kind of accreditation, like IPRAC is good too. That's a new one, right?
Yeah.
So those are the basic building blocks, I would say, that you need to start. And then from there, then you start marketing. So depending on your budget, you can start marketing, for free, basically, going into Facebook groups and social media and just starting to do outreach that way. And posting what you have in availability is a nice, easy way to start. And then you can just start spreading the news with email marketing. Really great, cost effective, super important. Reaching out to all your past guests because you can still download those details from the OTAs and get all that reservation information. So, and then start marketing to past guests. So that's where I would start in the big picture. And it does take a little bit of time, but it's very doable and very worthwhile.
Great. Okay, that's a good start for the viewers, and if they haven't done that, and one of the key things that I find with direct bookings and the process you just mentioned is consistency. Consistency is key when working to bring in direct bookings. Why is this so important?
Well, I mean, you want to become basically the local expert. So people, you're recognizable. And consistency in everything, I would say. It's consistency in your guest management. So you want to make all of your guests that stay with you like raving ambassadors that are going to refer you to others. So that's a sales funnel that you can build. You want to make sure that you're consistent in your email marketing too. It doesn't have to be every week. It can be once a month even, but just that there's that consistent message to get out there to keep top of mind to your tribe. Um, and I think it's really important that people recognize you, and that you're out there in and staying active is super important. And even your website management, where you're adding content to your website. If you have a website you set up and forget it, it's not going to do you any good. You've got to consistently feed it information and SEO content so that you're ranking higher in Google, so you can get found by your travelers and guests that don't even know you yet.
I was just listening to a podcast yesterday from Donald Miller, and he was talking about they did a case study of a business that was doing very well, but didn't re-engage their past guests. And basically, the business, it stopped, it died after 3 years because, those repeat guests, I mean, those are the easiest to bring back. They know you, and so it's really easy.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's easier. I read the statistics that it's so much easier to resell to a past guest than it is to sell to a new guest. You know what
Right.
I mean? So I totally agree with that 100%. And if you do it well, you create these people that are out there in the same groups that you're active in. Like I see it all the time. It's so amazing where, I'm in a Facebook group and I have my past guests saying, look at this house, when somebody's asking for advice, look at, one of Nancy's homes, like she's a great host, you'll love it, we had a great time here. And then so other people are marketing for me even while I'm sleeping. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah, so direct booking is not difficult. It's just something that we need to start, we need to get engaged with, and we need to be consistent at.
absolutely agree 100%.
Great. And so you mentioned Flarbo earlier. So what is Flarbo, and why did you co-found this business?
So FLARBO is Florida Rent by Owners. That's the short form acronym. FLARBO is for it. We started. I had a fellow property owner, Michelle Totino. She approached me and she said, she wanted to create this idea of the network on our little island where we can work together with owners and gain, bookings and referrals and share resources and things like that. And so we decided, with everything that was happening with our own properties on the large OTAs, because my own properties, because of all Expedia and HomeAway and all those takeovers of the traditional online travel agencies from years and years ago was happening, I was getting buried my properties, and my past guests couldn't even find me on the OTA. So my performance was going down and down and down and down and down. So I mean, okay, I've got to do something here, right? So Michelle approached me and we said, okay, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's give it the best shot we can. Let's try and create a listing site specifically for Florida because it was more cost effective. We couldn't focus on our small area. It just was not worth it financially. So we decided we would focus on the state of Florida and we would do it the way we wanted to do it. We would build it for owners by owners. So it's a site that you come to, travelers come to, and owners advertise their listings for a subscription annually. And all the communication goes directly to the owners. They get the contact details, they get the phone numbers, they get the email addresses. So they can close the sale however they prefer. So if they want to take it offline, and they want to show them insider guides or the best way to try and close that sale, they can do it that way. If they want to answer within the website, they can answer within the website in response to. So it's really up to the owners and managers to close the sale as best they can. And we feel that they have the best ability to do that when given the freedom. I mean, you should be able to close to at least one booking for every 5 inquiries. That's the average. So it's so far it's been great. Last year in 2020, 25% of my bookings came through Flarbo. So we're working hard, really, really hard to market and advertise and drive traffic and inquiries. And it's fun too, because we see a lot of the inquiry communiques that go through from travelers. And many of them will say, oh, I saw your listing on VRBO or Airbnb, but it's a lot cheaper here. Can I book here? because it's that book direct, right? So it's a great savings for the traveler and a great savings for the owner. So it's the perfect time. So yeah, it's going well.
Right, and the I mean, it's almost book direct, I guess, but you're working with the owner directly through your listing site. But
Exactly.
there's no traveler fees, right?
There's no traveler fees. Yeah, we don't have any at this time. We don't have any desire to make any traveler fees for the travelers.
And we've tried to highlight this to past guests in our email campaigns, is to say, here's this property. Whether you book direct or you book through, like Flarbo, I mean, there's no traveler fees. Look at the price difference that
Yeah.
there.
That's the strongest message, and I think the easiest thing you can do right away to get your past guest to book again. I mean, I do the same thing in my outgoing nurture campaign email, and it's this message, and I've taken a screenshot to show people like this is the actual details of that booking on this platform, and there's that traveler fee, and it's $499. Like it's a lot for people. Like that's a lot of money, you know. So
Exactly. And we say, hey, here's the difference. And if you want to book direct, no problem. If you want to go through Verbo or Airbnb, we take it too. It's no problem.
yeah.
We're trying to get you to see the full cost, and we'll take your reservation any way you like. You're in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So the services, basically, I think you talked about what services does Flarbo provide to owners and guests.
So there's a lot of benefits with Florida Rented by Owners, which is great. You know, you can just pay for an annual subscription. There's different levels. There's classic, bronze, gold, silver, gold, and platinum. So depending on that, it's increasing in ranking or increasing in photos and exposure and things like that. So you basically pay for your subscription, but you can also have these other great opportunities where if you want to post a last minute deal to get those vacancies booked last minute, there's that opportunity. There's paid ads, which help boost your exposure if you're like on a lower level and you just need like a little boost for a certain time period, 30-day time period. So we have a few different ad options for that, which is exciting. And then so we did some partnerships too this past year that we were really excited about in terms of price comparison websites. So there's exposure that way that we're driving more inquiries from there. And we also have benefits with our that we work to deal with sponsoring our members to be part of the Florida Vacation Rental Managers Association, even if they're an owner, which is exciting. So we felt that that was really needed because this past year in the pandemic situation, it was really difficult as single stakeholders to really understand what all those executive orders meant
Right.
and, and how it trickled down to your county level and municipal level too. So we really found that we needed a legislative voice to kind of guide our owners, and then Florida VRMA just fit the bill for that. So we were excited to partner with them too to give benefits to our owners. So that's the kind of big picture of what we do.
And if you're not in Florida, I mean, there's a lot of regional listing sites that
There
operate in
are,
a similar way, or some in the different states. So I encourage the audience to take a look at that. If you're not in the great state of Florida, then look at some of these other locations, right?
yeah. And there's also ones that are, like you said, state, regional. There's also kind of like vacation type too. Like if it's a family kind of vacation website, things like that. So just kind of look around and see what's out there. Do your due diligence though to make sure some of them are, a little sketchy or just starting out, maybe haven't been as successful. So you definitely want to double check to see what their ranking is, their traffic to the website, things like that, to make sure you're spending your money wisely.
Yeah, great. So, how has COVID impacted or changed vacation rentals from your perspective?
Oh my God, this was such a year. When we were closed down from March to May, I think it was the busiest time of my life where we were pivoting like crazy. Um, in terms of advertising with Florida Rental by Owners. We had all these, contracts in place where, I'll just give you an example of one, which is the video advertising in airports and things like that. And we're like, okay, that could totally changed. Nobody was flying
Really
anymore.
fun.
So we had to push those contracts into the future and completely pivot, right? Because it really became a domestic market very fast when we were able to reopen. So we had to change our messaging marketing wise. We had to change our advertising mix completely, really hone in on this new avatars that we were seeing. I mean, there's a whole new generation of people that have never stayed at vacation rentals before that are now staying for the first time. They take a lot more work, but once you convert them and understanding what a self catering accommodation is, they can become a great repeat renter in years to come. We saw digital nomads that were working in vacation rentals because they were tired of looking at their, apartment four walls and things like that. They wanted to escape to a more coastal or country setting. We saw families going out and doing vacations for a week that were, non-traditional times of the year. So we really saw that blurring of the traditional seasons, and saw a lot more bookings in the fall season than we normally see. Like there was a really higher demand and higher search volume in the fall season than in the past. So that was really interesting. And there was also some of the negative stuff too happening, like the events that people were trying to monetize on, the event planners that were booking party houses. So we had to be careful of that and kind of learn how to flag, as owners anyway, flag what a potential booking was for a party situation that could get out of control. So those are some of the major things that I saw. I mean, and of course, cleaning protocols too. I mean, I would be remiss in saying that, we didn't totally pivot with all the cleaning protocols to make sure that everybody was safe in a vacation rental. So those are the big points, I think, that how COVID affected us. And going forward, I mean, it was the only time this past year where we really worked side by side with the government officials to make sure that we opened safely. Like we were working our tails off to write to the governor, to talk to our county officials, to speak and work with the Vacation Rental Manager Association to really understand, what information we needed to get out to our subscribers at Florida Diversify owners, what we needed to do as owners to be responsible and respectful and safely operate in this brave new world.
Then I think it's, we talk some about advocacy in the summit, and but this is where advocacy pays off because I see it all as a relationship with, let's say, government agencies or city officials or county officials. It's a relationship, and if that relationship started in March or April, it may not be as easy as if it had started before. And trying to build this and have a good rapport and a discussion and not come about in it should be in a proactive way. I think that
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that brought out some learnings for us as well there around advocacy.
yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, when we started working with our county officials as a personal level, we had to educate our county commissioners that they had no idea that we had state licenses with the Professional Business
Mhm.
Association. They had no clue. So we really had to educate them that we were already operating within the guidelines and very similar to hotels
Right.
because they were coming out with some of these ideas that were frankly quite crazy. When a hotel room can be turned over during a pandemic in less than half an hour, and then they were considering having a 24-hour stay in between stays. Like that was crazy to me. So
Right.
we really worked side by side with them to really educate them as well as listen to what they had to say too. So like you said, the advocacy and the working tables together with the government was super important. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And I think during this time, a lot of people took the pause, and the entrepreneurial kicked in, and I think we're going to see some of these ideas and actions, and this whole summit is triggered by this entrepreneurial. Let's do things different. Let's work on some things, and for the vacation rental industry, um,
Yeah.
I think we're going to see this a lot more in 2021. The things that we started planting last spring are starting to rise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting. It's a very exciting time.
Absolutely is. So, what are some of the big opportunities or challenges you're facing in your business today?
So, challenges are, well, right now with Florida Rent by Owners, we've been working for months actually on software optimization. We recognized that when we started, there was certain things that we had built in the structure of the website that we wanted to change. So we actually started from scratch. And we've really been working hard to try and get out to a rollout date within the next month or two. Fingers crossed it will happen. We're working our tails off to get that happening. So that's exciting for us personally at Florida Rental by Owners. For the coming year, I mean, for us personally, with as property owners, it's been a great year. Honestly, it was a scary year. Certainly, the first quarter with the unknown, but I mean, with the response, with I mean, there was just such a surge with people who had to pivot their own travel plans in terms of the cruise lines were canceling. People were not flying out of the country anymore. Because of our location, I mean, we've been very blessed in the fact that it is a high demand now for all of our rentals. So, I mean, I think I've worked harder than I've ever worked in my life this year, in terms of still trying to help people in terms of, some people that can't come that are from a state that's either locking down again or quarantining. So I'm trying to do that shell game
Right.
and be fair to people and be fair to ourselves too. So that's pretty much the focus where we've been, and then where we want to go is we just want to improve and provide a great quality product to our guests, and a really an opportunity to escape. I mean, I don't think there's been any more time in my life that it's been more important to really reevaluate family time and what's important in life. And, vacation rentals are just a great backdrop to reconnect and stick together and enjoy each other for the moment. And because you never know what tomorrow brings, right?
For sure. Exactly. And what's one of your big goals for 2021?
So, my goals for 2021 are to max out my occupancy personally for my rentals. That's the huge one. I've got, like I said, a renovation that finished, so that I need to stage and take professional photos of when I can and when I'm able to get back down there, hopefully for the summer. And for Florida Rent by Owners, we want to once we get our software launched with the newest version, which is a huge accomplishment. We're really focusing on a lot of integrations going forward and acquisition. So that is our next stage. We really haven't focused a lot on it. We've created our sales funnels and things like that. But that will be our big step going forward, bringing more of our sales in-house and really focusing on acquisition to scale up.
Great. And so, is there anything I didn't cover that you'd like to mention to anyone?
I mean, I think we covered a lot of it, which is great. But just that we really want to highlight that we are, at Florida Rental by Owners, we really try and work hard for our members and our subscribers. And I think that was evident in the partnerships that we were able to solidify this year in terms of on the price comparison websites, that we're able to drive more inquiries to our owners in that respect. API integrations that we've been working on have been really good, and our definitely our membership partnership that we have with Florida Rental with the Florida Vacation Rental Managers Association. That was really exciting for us to really be one of the first regional listing sites to really take advantage of that for our owners, to make sure that we're really working professionally and that our owners have the professional information to really make the vacation rental industry a trusted source and trusted to book direct, because a lot of the OTAs do a great job of scaring people and marketing the scary stories about booking direct. But that's the future. So we need to make sure that we have a strong voice and that we protect that book direct message, and we're safely operating for our travelers and guests.
Great. And if someone out in the audience wanted to get in touch with you to learn more about your properties in Florida or Florida Rentals by Owner, how would they get in
Yeah.
touch with you?
So you can find me for my personal rentals at amihomerental.com. That's my website. So you can take a look there and send us an email through the contact page. I'm happy to answer any questions or have you give you a quote for a stay. And Florida Rental by Owners, you can contact me at Nancy at floridarentalbyowners.com. It's a mouthful, or you can just go to the website Florida Rental by Owner and send us a contact message through there. I'll be happy to answer anything we can.
Great. Nancy, we appreciate your time today, educating us about direct bookings and these regional listing sites like Florida Rentals by Owners. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Safer VR's podcast with Eric Thibodeau. If you enjoy this, I would love you to join my Facebook group, The Safer Vacation Rentals, for more of the same. You can also join our email list at www.safervrs.com.